Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Landscaping to the Point, not your average green industry podcast, but we are straight to the point. And I am joined today by JC again. Josh is running late. He has to clean up his attic. So, JC, what's going on, my brother?
Not much, man. I was a little thrown back. The first thing that popped up on my screen is an image of myself, and I'm like, "Oh, just me on the podcast."
We're gonna put you out first because you missed last week, so we got to put you out first right away. So, how's it going? I mean, I know you've been busy last week. You missed a great topic. We were talking about reflection on our past businesses and stuff last week. But we've had some great topics in the last couple of years. Today, I got a great topic. But I'm kind of waiting for Josh. So this is kind of something that I think all of us, would go on awesomely. So what's been going on with you this week?
Not much, man. I'm sorry I missed out last week. I was actually down in Pennsylvania,
Nice.
visiting a buddy, and I actually stopped by a friend of mine who I follow online too, Caleb from Caleb's Property Maintenance, and it was kind of cool. We shot a little bit of content together, nothing particular, but he put me to work, so it was kind of cool working with another landscape crew.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Josh is down there in the back studio. I don't know if we're going to put him on. I think we'll make him wait for like about an hour or so, and then we'll go ahead and put him on in like the last 5 minutes, since he was late. But we'll put him on. So here we go. Josh, welcome to the party. Welcome to the show.
No one's going to watch the show if you don't have me on. Come on.
Oh, come on. We have a show without you. Come on. Look, I had a show last week with Don, and then you just decided to pop on.
Hey, I got a dilemma, right? I want to run it by you guys. I'm going to cut you off. Fuck what you were talking about. So,
okay.
I've been in this house for a year, right? And I moved in last September. So around last October, it started getting real cold in here. The insulation's kind of choppy. And I didn't want to turn the heat on. Oil prices were high. So I said, all right, let's buy some firewood. I think Jensen knows what might be getting to here. I don't know. So got the firewood. Off the bat, the firewood had like the strange odor to it. It was almost like the best way to describe it was like a mildew smell. Scott, I may have ran this by you too. I don't remember. It was like a mildew, mildew smell, and like covered it up, stashed it up neat. Let it sit for a couple months. Hopefully, got better. Finally, called the guy and said, "Dude, listen, I can't even have this stuff in my house." Like it got to the point where like I stacked 6 pieces in my living room. I came in, I let someone in my house, my wife or something, clean the floor with the dirty mop. That's what it smelled like. It was just disgusting. Wow. Fast forward to last weekend. The guy finally shows up almost a year later to take the wood. They don't want my money back. I just wanted the wood replaced because it was horrid. I couldn't use it, couldn't burn it, couldn't nothing.
Right.
So he says, yeah, do it. I'll take care of you. Don't worry, I'll bring it back, blah, blah, blah. Brings it back, but I said, hey, bring me only a half a cord. Because he brought me a cord, but it was almost 2 cords worth of wood that I had to fucking get rid. I stacked and then had to put in my skid steer and dump into his truck. So he brings a half a cord. He opens the gates to a truck yesterday. I thought I'd get a whiff. Thinking it's my menthol, I said, it's a half a cord. I'll stack it. Stacking it. I'm like, it's like almost waterlog type wood. And I'm like, all right, it was in the rain. I go out this morning to walk the dog before the show. The stuff's in the back of my house, right? Which is probably about 120 feet, right? The front door to where the wood is probably about 120 feet or something like that, maybe more. I get the whiff. I'm like, there's no way it's in my menthol. So I go around back and I'm like, I smell the fucking vomit again. So I call my wife. That's what we just knew now. I call my wife. I said, I wanted to wait. I didn't want to put it in your head. I was going to have Jensen come by and stick his head in there, and another guy lives down the street. But I smell the same fucking vomit. Like, I feel like the guy just being passive aggressive took the same wood and threw like 3 or 4 fucking pieces of cherry in there. What causes firewood to smell like vomit? And I don't say like vomit. It is vomit. Like,
okay. Firewood, if it's getting too much moisture, then it's not dried out properly, it will smell like shit.
That's probably what it is.
And that's what it is. It's your firewood. He's probably not getting it right. What's up, Ricky? He's probably not drying it out. He's probably got it in a spot that could be wet or getting wet.
Oh, he straight up said, he goes, I don't have one of those fancy, like, I was like, tarp. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm like, you don't have a fancy tarp to put
Tarp's fancy
firewood? Like, Harbor Freight, bro. Like,
Right.
Home
I mean,
Depot,
you can tell
160.
if you look at the wood. I mean, my wood that I have that we have out here, it's all white. It's a whitish. It's definitely dried out. It's not. I mean, there's some that on the bottom of we have a container that has some in it that we kind of kept in the that's for it's just for like campfire. That there's some of them on the bottom that is like a brownish, like moldy looking. Them are just wet. They're just not. They're not totally dried out.
No.
And you can tell the difference between usually by looking at it if it's a white compared to a dark color. And if he got it into an area to where it's not getting total sun to dry it out, or if it doesn't have enough air going fluid through it all, it's not drying out. And that's probably what it is he probably cutting it fresh and probably trying to hurry up and try to sell it too.
And that's,
I mean,
that's the vibe I'm getting off the guy. But it's like it's crazy because he's like, and I get this because I'm trying not to bust his balls because I get stuff happen. This was in the beginning. I was trying not to bust his balls. Once he kind of put me on the back burner for a year, I got pissed. But he gives me the whole, I've never heard this in my 40 years doing business, blah blah blah. I'm like, kind of find it hard to believe like you haven't had a hard customer in 40 years. Like no one's that great,
Where is he based out of?
I think by you, honestly, by you or around that area somewhere. So he's not in the city, but he's like out there. But I'll drop you the name when we get off. He's a logging and firewood company out that way. And he has been in business for a while. But here's kind of a side story with it is I had been trying to get him to swap it out for months. And this went back, I think it was in February. Finally, I was like, dude, I don't want the money back. I just want the wood. So I'm like, if you bring me fresh wood in February, we'll swap it out. I'm like, I can let it sit all summer and let it dry out. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to get to you. It went, what happens? Obviously, I'm in the industry. I get busy in the spring. Kind of forget about him. My wife goes, what's going on? I said, I've hit him up. He keeps on blowing me off. She goes, I'm going to get a hold of him. He gives her the same runaround. So I kind of bad pause it because I'm like, you know what? Let me see if it dries out a little bit. I bring it in. I put it in my little breezeway for a day. Come back. Breezeway smells like someone has throw up rags in a bag. I said, fuck it. So finally, I go to my wife. I said, well, figure out what the deal with this guy is. She calls him up to be like, hey, you're not going anywhere. You're not coming. You're not saying you're going to come anywhere or go anywhere or whatever. And he loses his mind on her. He starts giving a shit. So that's my whole, I'm professional. Professionalism's out the window at this point. I call him up. I lose my mind. And it wasn't losing my mind at a point where I'm like, fuck you, you piece of shit. It's like, he's trying to tell me, well, what do you want me to do? I'm like, I want you to do the right thing. I complained about it. I get it. I own a business. I'm not trying to bust your balls. You're busy, but you had a year to make it right and you never did. Now you're working on my schedule. Now it has nothing to do with your schedule. Your schedule's out the window. Fuck you. Now you're working by what I have to do because I can't sit there and say, I'm going to be there at 4:00 when you are. I get in at 6, 7 o'clock. You need to be able to accommodate that schedule now. How do you think that phone call is going to go down this afternoon? So I'm waiting until noontime.
I don't want to be the guy that's on the other end of that. I don't think you in Boston, dude. I mean, shit. You better call the cops right away. Jesus,
I don't think you're going to find a solution for that because it seems like all his wood is going to be the exact same way. So even if you get him out there to replace or whatever it is, you're going to end up with the same exact problem, whatever he comes out and brings you. That's new stuff.
Here we go. Paul Camara's on here. Uncle Paul, welcome. Well, morning. He says there is different wood varieties that smell bad when they're burned. Yeah.
And I get that, but this isn't just burned. This is not. This is off the truck sitting there, wet, dry, and burning. So across the board.
Okay, ask him this: how long does he cut it after he cuts it and splits it? How long does it sit? Okay, when we cut our stuff, we split it. We split it right away as soon as we have the logs in and we cut them. We split them and then we stack them. Okay, we have certain stuff, our oak, all our hardwoods, we let sit for at least a year before we turn around and trying to sell it. And then we have even like our cherry, we let it sit for a year. So, but our pine, we'll let it sit for at least 6 months before we're turning around and selling it. And we're not going to sell it to somebody that goes inside a house because it's really, all that soot will make it bad and it'll be even worse.
No.
So, I mean, he could be just taking stuff that he's cutting down, especially if he's a logging company. Yeah. I feel like he could be cutting it down, splitting it, and turning around and trying to sell it right then and there.
And there are in Massachusetts in general. I think the majority of the wood, and I might be wrong, but I think the majority of the wood that's being sold is green. And I don't think people are shady about that. I just think it's, you get your wood in the spring and let it sit. And what pisses me off about this guy, I don't have a huge area out there to stack this stuff. My whole thing, when I told him what pissed me off is like, I could have went and got green wood, 2 cords of green wood, and let it sat all summer and seasoned out. So by November, I'm ready to burn. Now I'm going to be back to square one. And now I'm probably going to have to haul it, take my dump truck, which is an hour away, and haul wood from the guy right next to me at my yard that sells firewood.
Jeez.
Drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said red oak stinks really bad.
So what's the odor of red oak, Paul? Because I think there's red oak, there's pine. He named up like a bunch of different species and stuff, and I'm like,
yeah. See, pine you shouldn't even have in your house. I mean, that's one thing that it's not safe to have it in your house. So if he's selling you pine on top of like something like that, dude, you could be that house could be going up in flames. I know it's a 200-year-old house. I mean, I can tell by the old attic behind you. So,
Jensen, are you doing your regular today?
What's that?
Are you doing your regular schedule today? I was gonna say if you buy here, I gotta go swing by and stick your head in that pit. What'd you say, motherfucker?
He doesn't want to come by your house.
No, I got the OnlyFans later on. No,
by your house, stick his head in your house. Come
I don't
on,
know, man.
like who wants coming to your house?
No, I think, man, I don't know. That's a pickle, right? I think you're gonna end up with the same. If he's selling crap, he's selling crap. He doesn't have anything good. You might a solution which you might not want to do is maybe try to sell it as like outdoor firewood and get rid of it that way.
No, I'm not doing that shit. He's coming back. I was nice enough. My skid was here. We loaded it together and dumped in his truck. He's fucking hauling that shit out.
Ask him for his money back.
Leaving the money back. Like there's no. I'm done. Like at this point, it feels like you gave me. First of all, it's soaked fucking wood, half of it. So it's like you didn't even fucking have the you didn't have the respect to be like, all right, let me make sure the order's at least dry and it appears to be decent, not just fucking wet, smelling like puke firewood. I'm gonna mail you a piece, Scott.
Okay, you mail it to me.
I get a big.
You know what? I'll just you pay for the delivery fee. I'll load my truck and trailer up, and I'll just bring you a good load of.
Dude, let's do this. What's delivery? Like $500?
Yeah, 500-600. I mean, I gotta have gas, and then just give me room and board and food when I get there, and then
Mom's attic, baby. Mom's attic. I'll put you up here.
Josh, just spray some Febreze on that wood.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. When we first got it, I put incense next to the wood. I go to my wife. I'm like, it's all set. It's all good.
Don't worry, it'll burn out. It'll burn out. It won't smell once I start burning it.
but it was one of those things where it was like the first time we got it, I'm like, I think this shit smells, but I've never bought in firewood other than like what you buy in a campfire because I've never had a fireplace, outdoor firewood, and like I thought it smelled. I was like, nah, it's just me. It's not that bad. When I came in that next day and it smelled like she cleaned the floor with a dirty mop, dude, I was like, oh, I fucked up. I was like, I should have called us. But yeah, my patience is out the window. I think that I'm a nice guy to deal with on stuff like this. I think I'm very reasonable, compassionate, and I empathize with a business owner because shit happens. He's in this busy time of year. But I also mentioned to the guy, I said the reason why I was trying to deal with this early in the spring, early summer is I didn't want to get caught up in your busy time of year and then I'm stuck with a bunch of crap. Right. And I'm on batch 2 on there.
Can I ask you a question? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, when are you compassionate? I've never heard you being compassionate.
I think I'm a see, now I don't want to say I'm a nice guy because then it's like one of those guys that are dickheads. It's like, I'm a nice guy, bitch. No, I gave. I mean, it's hard because the guy's older to me. He's in his 60s and he's a nice guy, but you can tell he's got that rough edge to him as far as his business, which may have worked in like 1980, but light a piece of it, see if it sizzles. Also,
Paul says, Josh, light a piece and see if it sizzles. Also, if you hit the pieces together, they shouldn't make a thud sound. Should sound more like 2 baseball bats hit together.
Are we looking to see if they're waterlogged? Is that the purpose of
Probably,
that?
yeah. If it sizzles, you're gonna know that it's wet, it's green.
Yeah.
I
mean, the
I've
shit's
never-
wet, so I mean that stuff's gonna have to sit for months before it could even like really catch. Like I'm gonna have to use an accelerator to get that stuff wet.
Right.
And it's crazy because he brought over I have a Rubbermaid box out there. Last year he brought over cherry wood, and he said, "Try this. This is good stuff." Man, no odor, burnt like that, like hot, no accelerator needed, just a match. All right, thanks, Paul. Paul said yes to my question. I keep forgetting people listen to this; they don't all watch it, so I'm like, okay, Paul. But yeah, no, so yeah, that sucks. So anybody that's in the fire, if anybody has gotten rotten firewood that listens to this, whether it's now or next summer, chime in. Let's educate people. Because I don't know. Definitely. I'm not a firewood guy. I don't hang out with firewood guys. They're not my type of people.
Lumberjacks, firewood guys, lumberjacks, arborists, you know, we're gonna call you fire guys.
It makes me, because you know what pisses me off? It makes me like, oh, like, you know what? I should just bring in logs and fucking split my own wood for myself.
Yeah, you should.
You know?
You should.
How many logs?
You got that big shop. You got that big shop an hour away.
I know. I thought about it because you know what? I do have a spot, a pit where I could just throw it. Like, I don't want to sell it. I'd like to just keep it for myself. You know.
Right. I mean, it's worth it if you, especially if you can hook up with somebody that just wants to get rid of the logs. I mean, that's how we're getting ours. Is just we hooked up with enough tree guys that are cutting stuff down, and in our area, you got to pay to get rid of it. So, I mean, some of them just take it to their own place and just let it sit. So, Paul says that's a Sunday morning tradition for him. I mean, after he gets off the podcast watching us, and then he goes and splits firewood. So
I can see Paul with the flannel and the axe.
Yeah, I can do.
Wood.
Paul, you're gonna have to come on here in the morning so we can talk to you first before you go split wood one day. See, get them going. So, okay, I'm gonna go on my topic if you're done with your firewood rant.
I'm sorry. I was pissed because I came up here and I was just aggravated. Like I was downstairs talking with her, and I'm like, I gotta go upstairs. I got the podcast. I'm like, I gotta deal with this motherfucker on a Sunday morning now. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're fine. It's totally fine. I'm fine with that. I mean, I think we got some good knowledge on it, and we talked it out. And hopefully, when you talk to a guy, you don't tell him you're gonna wring his neck if he doesn't bring you some good firewood. So, I mean, I think you'll be good about it. You'll be compassionate.
It's gonna start nice. I can tell you that. I just know this guy's MO.
I'm just gonna say that it might be a good thing, Josh, that you and I live in two separate towns.
Yeah, could be. Could be. Well, thank you on that. I think we know what we're going to do, and I think Josh is going to handle it well. I think he's going to – hopefully this guy gets you some good firewood, or like I said, you're probably going to have to find somebody else that can actually prove it. You know, there is one thing, and I know some of them do. I don't have one, but you should have a moisture tester. I know there's a firewood moisture tester that can test the firewood. You should ask him if he's tested how much moisture is in that firewood.
This guy don't do that.
I bet you he doesn't do that. No, I bet you he doesn't do that. He probably just, like I said, he probably cuts it down and just sells it right away.
On my morning poop after I dealt with this when I got back, I was doing some investigating. I took his last name, his number, and researched a bunch of stuff and went back, BBB, all that crap. So I did my research.
Huh? A lot of thinking takes place on the porcelain throne.
Yeah.
We had what was the I'll go back to that. There was something with that bet like years ago with guys in the original UAG we were gonna do. I'll come back to that.
Okay, we'll come back to that one. Okay. All right. Okay, so here's a great topic. I'm gonna throw this out to you guys, and it is what if. Okay. What if you could go back and tell yourself when you were 18 or before you started your business how to change something that you've done in your business or the way you've ran your life in these couple of years? Is there something that you would go back and tell them to improve your business, improve your way of life? Is there something?
I don't think I would have listened.
You wouldn't have listened. I know you wouldn't have.
I'm sure there were guys that told me.
You look probably 100% different than then. So, I mean, I could see that too. I think if I came back to myself with the haircut like I have now, I think my younger self would be like, "Oh, okay, so you have a mohawk, awesome." So I got to cut my hair more. Okay.
I mean, are you asking that in the sense of knowing what you know now
Yeah, yeah.
and
So
like going back and
yeah, if you could go back, would you
God, it
tell them
changed
something, and what would be?
so many things, man. So
Well,
many
then
things.
go. Let's see. I want to hear one thing you would tell your younger self, JC.
Oh
Let's see.
man.
Let's hear it from you.
Oh God. All right. Well, I mean, we could break this down into different categories. So you want to talk like
Yeah,
financial
totally.
stuff? I the first thing I'd do is I'd probably save more money and invest my money into my Roth IRA a lot earlier.
Yeah. See, that's a good one. Definitely. I think that's something that now same here. I mean, I have not invested in our Roth IRA yet, and I'm pushing, retirement age here in 2 years. So I mean, I definitely, something that I should have been doing.
I would man, I'd if I knew
Hey,
like
I'm getting there.
how Apple was, I'd invest in Apple, I'd invest in Tesla.
Oh yeah.
God,
Yeah.
I'd be less oblivious than I was in high school when girls were throwing me cues. I was just oblivious to the fact that like some girls were kind of, dropping me hints to ask them out. I was a nerd with my Nintendo Game Boy, just so infatuated with that I ignored everything. I would have been better in school. Just because I look back and I'm like, man, I just didn't really care about doing any work, and I kind of wish I did. Man, I don't know, so many things, many things. I would have had a little more fun too.
What about business wise? Would you have? I mean, you started your business. Would you go back and tell them that on how to start out with this type of mower, this type of equipment?
I wish I could do that 3 years ago.
I think a lot of us do sometimes.
No. So, all right. So a lot of people don't know I have a full-time job and I do the mowing on the side, barely on the side. But if I could go back 18 years ago, I would pick a different profession. And I'd probably be a bit more solidified, situated, stable business owner, probably on a full-time basis, and maybe have a company just because I like the business end of things. But I kind of jumped into a business a lot later in life, and I think I've always had that mentality, and I've always had there was not a lot of internet back then there, Josh, so that wasn't an option unless you bust out the old VHS
only JCs.
I'd buy a camcorder, right, the one that you put on your shoulder, and
I'd videotape it that way. That would be.
I'd be one of the first YouTubers. I mean, there wasn't a lot of YouTubers back then, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of things that I think you could change, especially knowing now exactly what you know now. Me business wise, I would say, concentrate on something, know your numbers, and just concentrate on one service instead of trying to expand into so many services. Just start with one service, stick with it. If that's something you want to do, just keep pushing on that service, and then go with it. Finance wise, it'd be like, yeah, definitely save some money. I mean, you never know how your life is going to be. There's going to be COVID that's going to come in and destroy businesses. It's going to change a lot of things. Just put money away for when you need it. Probably would have told myself to hurry up and buy land way before I freaking did 10 years ago. And said, buy land out here and start building now. So, I mean, there's a lot of things I would definitely change. I mean, I wouldn't change my wife. I wouldn't change my kids. I wouldn't change my family life. But yeah, business wise, and the way I perceived things back then definitely would change. The drinking, I'd probably stop the drinking way earlier than I did. So there's a lot of things I'd change.
Paul Camaro would like this one, and this is like one of my biggest regrets, man, because now I'm like shopping online for one and looking for one. But I had a chance to buy a 1970 tuxedo black Chevelle 454, and I'm talking numbers matching and everything for like $29,000, man. And wow. I passed on it years ago. And now that car is like the way that condition car was is over $100,000 right now.
Oh,
That's
heck yeah.
my dream car. So now I'm looking at tributes, ones that look like the one that I wanted to buy.
Right. Oh yeah, I think investing in an older car would be cool, just to be able to maintain it and just go through and fix it up as it needed. I think definitely, dude. I hate to say that, but I had a chance of doing that same thing, and I passed up on a lot of that stuff. Morning,
Oh,
Franco.
Franco's in the room. What's up, Franco?
Yeah. Wow, we got a new one here, Franco. So Josh is sitting there thinking really hard. So I know his what ifs are going to be out the door, just so much explaining everything. So
His what if his
he's thinking about everything. He's like,
no,
maybe I would have changed a lot of things. Maybe I would have moved out of Boston.
no. He's wishing he bought wood from somebody else.
That's my biggest one right now. Like, God damn it. This is the only guy that answered me. That's why I bought it off him.
Oh.
So I don't like to do the what ifs just because. All right. Well, I guess if we got to do it in business, I think I would copycat and say, like, focus on the one thing. So it's hard because when you're in it, you're trying so hard to survive that you really go after everything. Now, I worked for an uncle who was in that boomer age, and he was successful. I thought he was very successful. And when I was working in the automotive shop, the one thing he told me, because I asked him, like, well, why don't we do transmissions? Why don't we do this? Like, he's like, if you want to be really, really known and really good at something, a specialty, you pick one fucking thing and you focus on that. He goes, yeah, someone can go to someone that does, engine repairs, engine rebuilds, transmission starters, alternates, all that stuff. But when you have one guy that just does transmissions, guess what? That guy's busy for life. That's all he's going to have is transmissions. That's all he focuses on, and that's all he does. And I don't know. He passed away during COVID. But one thing I think I would have asked him is, like, is that something you mean, like, to work towards eventually? Because when you go into business, it's hard to just have that one focus unless you have that reputation. So I definitely think trying to figure that out and focusing on that one niche and attacking that and making things cleaner. As far as life, dude, personal life, yeah, I won't go down that rabbit hole. But I like to say that I didn't go the route I wanted to go in life, but I think having those what ifs and what I could have changed, like, those are what developed who I was and developed my characteristics of who I am now. I don't think if I didn't do that shit, I'd be the person I am now. And I kind of like who I am now. So I wouldn't change a lot. But yeah, I mean, like, if me now, I could talk to the young me, be like, yo, 2008, yeah, like, figure out some money, kid. Like, clean house, You always go back. I wish I could have saved more money. I wish I could have done this. I wish I could have talked to this girl. I wish I could have made this business moves. But, like, if you look at where you are now, especially if you're in a decent, if you're not on a fucking street corner sleeping, think of, like, all the steps, like the small steps, like, you didn't do this, or this happened, or this happened, or this happened. I got on a motorcycle in 2007. And if I didn't get on that motorcycle after my wife was like, your buddy's coming over, don't do that, and crash that motorcycle and break my leg and all this stuff, I probably wouldn't be in the position I was in today. I'd probably still be working for someone struggling, honestly. I don't think I would have went through all the personal anguish that I did and, like, go through the wheeling and dealing of working for companies and, learning what piece of shit owners could do and how people treated their companies, and meeting one particular guy that really showed me how, like, work-life balance and work culture. So I feel like those what ifs, like, what if I didn't do that? What if you did do that and it took you a different route, you are. So I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly, but
yeah. But I think it pushes you to kind of look also too, to where even, I know we can't go back, there is no time machine for us all to go back. So it's more of like, you learn now what you should have told somebody in a younger self, what you should have changed. So does that push you now to say, okay, now I need to change this, or I need to change this to continue my path the way I want to go? Like you're hardscaping, you're looking at more union jobs, you're looking at bigger jobs. Does that push you now to say, okay, I want to push because my past wasn't the best. It was good. It's not I'm not like a millionaire, but I want to be where I'm comfortable.
Yep.
So what do I need to change?
Yeah,
You know,
I
that's what
definitely,
think
I
it looks
definitely have learned to trust my gut a little bit more. I've always been a person in the past 5-6 years, I'll say, I've definitely been a person that's taken calculated risks.
Right.
I try to be very careful in the risks that I take. I've known to trust myself a little bit more, that I'll figure it out, but I don't like to just figure it out. I like to have that pathway now. But yeah, I mean, I definitely listen to myself a little bit more, and I don't want the regret as I get older to be like, oh, I wish I did this when I was, on that Saturday, October 7th, I wish I did this instead of that, and you can't change, and you're going to have regret. So I do the best I can with what I got at the time. One thing that I absolutely do now that pisses me off to this day, I was always given like this subliminal advice through boomers and aunts and uncles and older people, which I never really understood. And when I would ask them to kind of like explain, I don't even think they understood the advice they were giving me. So I try to share my regrets and my failures with dudes that are younger with me, asking questions. So like, say, listen, like, I'm not saying go and do it this way, but I'm going to give you an example of like 5 things. Like, I wish I took this avenue rather than this, or I wish I experimented with this a little bit more rather than not doing this. But I explained why, and here's the reason why. Here's where it got me, and this is why it took me 5 years longer to do it than it should have, because I didn't do this.
Right.
So I definitely try to.
You need to look forward and yeah. Go ahead. Finish. I think he might have froze. You froze?
I'm not frozen.
Good. So I think you should be more looking and like take the risks sometimes, but like you said, you have to calculate them and know kind of where you want to be and where you want to set yourself up for the future. I think we all learn that in business and in life, is that the older we get, I feel like sometimes, like they said, the older you get, the wiser you are. And, sometimes sitting down with that older person and saying, hey, well, how did you get to this point? How did you get to that point? It helps you look at your life better in a way to where you're like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to focus on to continue down the right path. There's tons of great mentors. There's people out there that are trying to sell themselves with 5-6 years of business and try to sell their way of business life. And that you can learn some stuff from that, but I wouldn't go that way.
You can learn that same stuff from networking and talking with someone. This is why, like even if it's personal advice or professional advice, always consider the source of the information. Like, are you going to take financial advice from someone that's constantly struggling, has nothing to show, they don't own anything, they're constantly asking for money? Yeah, they're going to give you advice as to like how they fucked up, but you're going to take that with very minimal. Now, like I talk to my kids and I say, like, early on in life, like as a young father, like I struggled with money. Like I was bad with money. And I'm not the greatest now, but like now I know how to respect and appreciate what I make and what comes in. And I explain to them how to make it. And I'm like, I wouldn't have taken advice from me 10 years ago on how to make money,
Right. Yeah. I agree with you on that. I look at it like you should look, if you're going to look into trying to get a bigger business, look at somebody that's making, like you said, that's making tons of money, or that is in business for so many years that they are giving your advice. And I think paying for advice is just sometimes it's not worth it. That I feel is worth paying someone $200 to come listen to them talk for an hour and tell you how they run a business. But that's my opinion, and I think Josh would have his opinion, and I think JC would too, because JC's got a smile on his face. So, I mean, I look at it like, go talk to that person personally and find out what kind of advice they could give you. Let them. So hopefully, they can give you advice that doesn't cost you a dime. Maybe a coffee, maybe breakfast. I feel like that sometimes. Talking to somebody and giving, saying, I'll pay for your coffee and your breakfast. Tell me about how do I get to this point? I think that's a lot better than paying $3.99, but that's my opinion. So, Josh, JC, anything on that?
Yeah, we'll do it on the podcast. If you need some advice on your business, we'll charge $3.99, and you could come on every Sunday and just ask questions, and we'll try to answer them to the best of our ability.
Yeah, I mean, I could put the QR code up there if somebody wants to donate, but I won't charge them that much. Good morning, Landscapes of America. There we go. Landscapes of America. Josh's favorite friend, Virgil. What's up, Virgil?
I've been seeing Landscapes of America or Landscaping America trucks all over like the highways and like Eastern Mass the past like month. It's kind of funny. Is that dude? Does he live out here? Come to get me?
So, all right. So what would you? Let's say this: if you could make one thing from here on out that you take care of and change right now, what would be one thing you would change? Business, life, from this point on, one thing you change. I'm going to hold it to you because in a year from now, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Yeah, that's tough. Like I have a fresh, clean slate right now.
Right now, every day is a clean slate. You wake up, every day is a clean slate. If you look at it, every day is a clean slate. It's
my firewood guy.
One thing, firewood guy. So you're going to have a brand new firewood guy in a year. Okay. So next year, I'm going to ask you, 1 year from today, I'm going to ask you if you still have that firewood guy or if you got a nice one. That's
you're going to see a log splitter in my backyard. That's what you're going to see.
Yeah.
Ah, man. I don't know. Maybe I should stop buying coffee at Dunkin's and start making it more at my house.
Well, you do have that nice coffee maker.
Yeah. Well, it's just a Keurig, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, still, you paid all that.
Can
money.
you do that? Can you do that? I think that's one of the hardest. I make coffee in my house, and I still stop at Dunkin's twice a day. Like
it's not even like something you need, man. It's like just feel it. Honestly, if you live in New England for over 5 years, it's or 10 years, it's something you feel you have to do. Like I don't even want a coffee half the time I'm in line for Dunkin' Donuts, and it's just part of the routine, man. I don't know.
You know, one thing that helped me is I started buying the paper coffee cups that you would get at like Dunkin's and stuff, and put my coffee in there
to get the feeling.
Yeah.
You know, you can buy paper cups that have Dunkin' on them. I think you can buy them.
Probably.
So you could buy them and then just walk around with those cups all day long. JC.
I don't know. That might. I don't know. I just can't think of anything.
You get a thermos, you put a whole bunch in it, and then just carry around the coffee cup that says Dunkin' on it all day.
I've already had 2 cups of coffee today that I made here, right? And then after this podcast, I leave and go pick up my mom, and we go have a coffee together. So this is gonna be at a minimum, I'm gonna have 3 cups today.
Yeah,
one of them is gonna, at the very least, one of them is gonna be from Dunkin' Donuts.
Like you just said when we were together yesterday too. Yeah, you drink a lot of coffee. I drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So let's talk about that. Yeah. Josh paid me a visit yesterday.
Yeah, I heard Josh is a nice guy when he lets you come over. So let's hear this story, Josh.
He sold me a patio.
Nice. What size was it? I really want to know. I mean, dude, I need a patio. You want to come out here? We can exchange. We'll exchange firewood. You can take firewood back. Just come out and put a patio in. There you go.
Yeah. No, he's a very convincing salesman.
Yeah.
I wasn't even trying. I was just like, dude, your walkway looks like shit. Like, you need a walkway. Here's what you can do. And then it's like granite step. We talk about a granite step going down. And
yeah. I bust out the wheel
credit card
wheel measurer, and I'm just like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I do like it though. Yeah, I'm not.
So what did he sell you on? The granite steps or the
walkway? The walkway is shitty. When I bought the house, they did a horrible job. It was like a hack job, and I don't even think Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even think they used the right pavers to do it, but
they took it was like the circle kits for a fire pit that you would make to sit around. They used that, and they basically just offset the pavers. Every other went the other way. So yeah, they weren't walkway pavers. They were meant specifically for a circular kit.
I see.
Josh and JC should do a TV show. They could be roommates. Maybe call it, I don't know, The Odd Couple. Hey Josh, you want to go Dunks?
Yeah.
Give me a pack of marbles when you go to Dunks, guy.
Come on, kid, we're late. Oh man, so that happened, and then Josh, you said something to me yesterday that didn't really register until like after you left, and you were like, "Oh, it's the studio." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "It's the studio, like the garage where I shoot like the content that I do online." And so I didn't like realize
His
that it was his
OnlyFans.
first time seeing my garage in
Yeah,
person
dude.
from all the years that he's seen like videos being made in it. So like it was kind of like it just went over my head. And then after he left, it was like, oh, that's what he meant. Yeah, like seeing it in real life.
Okay, so if you're wondering what the studio means, guys, it's not his OnlyFans. Okay,
Not this.
that's
Whoa,
his
whoa, I
OnlyFans.
wasn't on that
see this
studio, boys.
yesterday.
This is his garage right here. We'll just let you guys know this is his garage. It's a pull down screen. Okay, this is his garage. It's not a real bed. So behind it's all his mowers, equipment, and everything. So that's where he shoots his videos for UAG for Echo Means Business. So and yeah, I get it. Josh is shooting in his attic all the time. I mean, I've never seen. I actually liked your video that you had up of the power washing. It was very insightful, Josh, and kind of let me in on a little bit of what to do. I'm going to power wash and seal my patio. So even though I don't have
the Instagram video we put up. Yeah, you know, I was digging around. I'm trying to mess around with iMovie and maybe like with the company side, I want to put out some like stuff like that. So I go on iMovie and I just threw something up. But we usually, everybody that we install patios for, can you seal it? Can you seal it? Can you seal it? If they're not going for like, the Armortech or their CB2 or anything like that has the sealer already built into it. Typically what we do is, Energy Standard usually tell people 6 months to a year. We go with a year minimum. A year minimum after we install, you have a patio installed. We'll come out, we'll clean it. We'll make sure any efflorescence has bled out of it. We'll give it a deep cleaning. The one that he was working on in that video, I was only there for the beginning. I have to go back. I guess there's some iron stains on it from tables that they had on there. So we have to use a more deep cleaner to get that out. But yeah, after a year, we usually give it, as long as it's maintained during that year, we'll give it a soft wash. Wash it off. We'll touch up any poly that may have come out during it. We'll wait a week, let everything dry off, go back, and we'll put a sealer on it, and we'll do that like every 3 years for a customer. So it's a good selling point too on that one in particular. Yep.
So now when you sell the patio, do you make them sign a contract that you're coming back every year to 3 years to seal it?
No. I don't force. I used to try to do that and build it in. Now what I tell them, I said, what we do is automatically in my CRM, I will set a appointment up from a year to the date to call them, or it'll schedule for a power wash and sealing, and then they can decline it if they want or not. So usually they won't. I'll have the older folks on the smaller walkways that are usually opting to do it themselves. But
right. So out of 100% that you do, how much percentage do you get return visits on sealing and touch ups?
I'd say probably 50.
Okay.
we don't push it on some of the bigger ones. We do just like, and we'll tell people it helps maintain the warranty, if we can get out there and do the general service. And then the people, obviously we educate and we say, hey, if you're doing this every 3 to 5 years, or you're adamant about like staying up on like any poly that might get washed out. We have people we install where they'll have like an overhang where there's no gutter. We advise them to go in and, every spring we give them a bag. We say, hey, we'll come out every spring and touch everything up for you. Just from that thaw that runs off into the patio. But yeah, it's usually about 50, maybe a little bit more. We don't push the maintenance on it. I don't have a lot of the manpower to handle. Like, we were going to open a whole maintenance division of people just going around and doing like releveling, sanding, and polying, but I just don't have the man for that right now to put on that. But I mean, dude, that's a whole other market though, if you think about it. Just to refresh. I mean, I've gone to places where people have wanted to tear up existing like Yankee cobble patios, and all they needed was some TLC, like some heavy power washing, scrubbing, repoly, releveling, and then like a nice sealer.
Nice.
One thing I do, and I'll stay on this podcast right now, I don't advertise my sealer as an actual protectant. I advertise it as a color enhancement. I think you bite yourself in your ass when you say it's going to protect you. It protects against like the UV rays and the fading sometimes if you apply it right. It'll protect against like someone dropping a glass and shattering. But if you're taking a fucking cast iron table and you're dragging it across the fucking patio, it's not going to protect against that.
No.
And people, because of the guys from Cambridge with the Armor Tech, they have the envision that you can like drive a car and drain oil and then wash it up on that. No, it doesn't work. So I always say it protects against weather, and it protects against it's a color enhancement. We'll usually try to do like a medium gloss. If they like it flat, then we go flat. But
nice, okay, I get that. I understand now. I'm a little
Josh,
bit more interested now.
When you do my walkway, I want that protector.
Well, that's going to be 1 year to the date. 1 year to the date.
Yeah.
You can actually you can opt in and buy the pavers with the Sailor. That's the thing. But I mean, the thing with the Sailor, when you do that, you're not protecting like the joints or anything either. That Sailor kind of sweeps over those joints and protects that poly. It's not an absolute cure for anything, but it helps.
So Josh, Paul's got a question. Do you see more people wanting natural stone or concrete products in their hardscape? I'm seeing in our area right now, more people are doing concrete patios, concrete sidewalks, and doing the stamping to stamp it to look like stone. So what are you seeing?
There is a mix. It depends on the demographic you're at. Like, so in certain areas, like when we're in like certain parts of Andover, Boxford, you see more people that want like the dry stack walls. A lot of people tend to shy away from those because of the cost associated with it. Obviously, it costs a little bit more for that skill set. People will opt in for the concrete products like concrete pavers, retaining wall block, because it's more cost effective for their budget. Does it look as nice? Hell no. A bluestone patio is a lot nicer than, a Yankee cobble patio, but again, it also depends on the house you're working on. If you have one of these older houses, like I have granite pillars, that go up. Like I was kind of back and forth whether or not I was going to put the blue 60 I put on my walkway or if I should have done granite slabs. Obviously, for me to do the pavers, so I went with pavers. Look nice. I see a lot of people now that are trying to opt in for concrete walkways, doing the stamped concrete, because I just think as time's evolved, at least from what I've seen out here, concrete hasn't skyrocketed like the cost of pavers have, and now they're kind of neck and neck as far as like the installation process, installation costs. But I think that for me, I don't do a shit ton of natural stonework just because it's not the full business model where I want to be stuck on a job and have full-fledged masons. I have landscape masons where, we can put it down, we can play with stone, we'll use New England failed stone, but we're pavers, retaining wall, block, drainage, in and out. I don't want to be Picassoing anything. Usually I'm the one that ends up having to do it and I get stuck on the job. But I think it definitely depends on the area you're working in. But for the most part, it's concrete products.
Do you think it's because, I think a lot of people in our area are doing the concrete because it's faster. It's a faster install. I mean, I see a lot of guys that'll come in and do the concrete literally in 2 days compared to like doing a patio or something with bricks or even natural stone. It takes like weeks. Is that something that you see as an issue in your area, where it's just because people want that faster install time, they want that patio faster or that sidewalk faster, so they'll just have the concrete done?
So I think it's cost effective too, but I think the aesthetics is definitely different. Now, when I read when he says concrete products, I'm assuming he's talking concrete and concrete pavers. So just pavers. Again, industry pricing is different. So when I say this, some people might look at me like, "What are you talking about?" A straight mason. I feel that the pricing from a mason is different from a landscape mason. When I say landscape mason, a mason is not going to cut you grass. A mason is not going to trim your bushes or put in a drain or anything. A mason's there just to do that stonework, right? A lot of masons that I work with, they use pavers, but that's the bottom tier of what they offer. A mason is going to be more competitive than I am with putting in a failed stone wall or a granite patio. They might wet set, they might have a different way that they do it. I'm going to be a little bit more expensive just because I know the time it's going to take me on that. So I think when it comes to me personally pricing, I'm going to lose a job to a mason that's natural stone versus I'm going to kick his ass with the paver pricing. I'm talking pavers and block, flat work like stamp, broom finish. Yeah. So I mean, for me, it's pavers because it's just cost efficiency. A lot of the houses I'm working on modern houses. People that are kind of like in those colonial houses where you'll have that natural stone stuff, they tend to go to the people that have a bigger reputation of working with field stone. So like in Andover, there's a company that's all he works with is natural stone. He doesn't do pavers. He'll call me or someone outside, someone in my realm that works with pavers, but he specifically just bluestone, granite, New England fieldstone.
So Paul says not. I don't know what not means.
I'm talking pavers and block, not flat work.
Not flat work. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I mean because concrete's not really in our industry per se. Like I feel like you're gonna like a concrete guy is a concrete guy. Concrete paver is following the landscape mason. But
right.
I think there is an influx. But I just think with the houses being modern and anything built like after 1930 is more going to have that paver look. The more colonial houses are going to have the natural stone look.
So I don't. Okay, if you're going to sell me a patio, how would you? If I say I want concrete, what's the difference? You're going to tell me how long it's going to last. How long would your patio?
Concrete cracks.
Paver, let's say paver.
You live in
over full concrete.
You know what's going to happen, Scott? You know what I'm going to tell you is we're gonna have stretch joints in your concrete. You're going to have 5 blocks of stretch concrete. We live in New England. Let's say that you get some frost heave or something fails. That one section is going to crack on you. It's never going to look the same. It's never going to look the same. You're always going to have one faded area, even if we stain it. Now, if I put pavers in your location and a paver cracks, guess what? I'm replacing that one paver. That thing's going to match within 1 year when I fade it down. It's more cost effective to replace a $5 paver than it is to replace a $1,600 slab of concrete.
Okay, so what happens in say 5 years down the road? Will I still be able to get that same paver 5-10 years down the road?
Absolutely, because I'm going to leave you with 10 to 20 of them.
Okay. Nice.
Exactly. Paul knows. Yes. That was the line I used. And it's funny because some people are so adamant about concrete. They go, what does that mean? I'm like, it's going to crack. You live in the Northeast. Like, it's got like, I had a guy that went in and it was something like, it was like a 6,000 square foot pool deck area. And he wanted concrete. And I'm like, I straight told him, are you crazy? I'm like, dude, you get one stress crack in that from something like if the pole, the filler on the pole is not compacted right and stuff settles, I'm like, it's gonna look like shit. I'm like, if you're gonna do anything, incorporate like aprons of concrete around the pavers. Like that's insane. It's so much cheaper to do the pavers in the long run. Like I know like concrete's right neck and neck, and people are like, well, it's structurally sound. I'm like, yeah, but it's done right. Like guys aren't always throwing fibers in the concrete mix. They're not ordering the right concrete. They're not. I mean, I've done. How many times have you guys dug up a walkway or dug around a walkway where it's dirt under the concrete?
Right.
Like guys aren't going in and putting that 4 inches of gravel, and that's what I tell people. I'm like, by the time I excavate, I compact, I put a weather barrier. The pavers is like $7 a square foot to add, and guess what? If the base is done right, you could always take those pavers out and start over. Like if Jensen's walkway was done correctly at the base, right? He had a builder that just threw it in there. It was whatever. Oh shit, we forgot we have these extras. If it was done correctly, he could have lifted up all those pavers, bought new ones, and just spread them out to where he needed them, and then added a section and been done. Probably would have cost him about like $500 in new pavers.
So there you go, Jensen. It's going to cost you about like $1,000. So if he tried to sell you at like a $5,000 job, you just tell him no.
Oh no, dude, we went over the prices, dude. I think that's what sold him. He was like, wait, what? Like, yeah.
No, I'm game for it. I mean, he sold me on the idea, so it's gonna happen. Plus, I'm sure that if he has time, he could show me some tricks of the trade to.
Absolutely. So what's going to happen? I'm going to come over and do the walkway. Paul's going to do the landscape, and Alex Carey's going to come over and do your Title V out back there, and you'll be all set.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. See that? Yep. It's nice having good friends.
Yep, you got it all set now. Totally set. So you're perfect, guys. So I don't have anything else unless you guys got anything else you want to add for today. I think we've touched on some really good things. We learned a little bit about a patio that Josh is going to be traveling and doing patios now. So, and then I'm traveling and doing firewood delivering. So, anything you guys got want to add before we hop off for the day? Thank you, Paul, for joining us, Franco, Lawnscapes of America, and Ricky. And anybody else that's listened to us, thank you guys for listening to us.
Was Ricky doing crack on the podcast or something? I
don't know. He had said something about crack and shipping
crack.
it. I don't know. He's out there today. I don't probably just woke up and I don't know. Maybe he was getting at the concrete, is cracking at his place. Maybe that's what he was getting at right away. Maybe he wanted us to talk about concrete and concrete pavers. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. So, thank you guys for being on. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. Definitely keep listening to us. Keep watching us. If you haven't known, we are here every Sunday, usually, unless JC or Josh are, traveling all over the country. But we're always here. We're always having fun times. Thank you. Yeah. Both of them. Josh don't go nowhere except for Boston and outside of Boston. So
I'm just wondering if Josh is going to be on a podcast next week, because after this call is over, he's going to go call that wood guy, and we don't know what's going to happen after that.
Bro, you know what? I will update you guys I'll put it on Instagram and I'll tag Acme or the podcast.
Yeah, you tag me. I want to. You tell your wife to videotape you talking to this guy.
Videotape me. It was fucking videotape.
I'll start the GoFundMe to set up the to bail you
bail
out.
Money.
Yeah, dude, it better not get to that point, because holy shit. I don't have my excavator buried. We'll see. This is interesting. So just again, I know we're trying to get off. I ordered firewood a year ago. The guy took a year to pick it up. Gave my wife an attitude. He almost lost his arms. He came in. I was very cordial about the situation. And I have my backyard smells like vomit. I'm waiting for my neighbors to complain. So Jensen, if for some reason you fly by this area, pull in, peek in, roll your window down, and see if you have a strange odor, and let me know what you say. I got another guy that's going to swing by later. And
you were supposed to be running anyways. I thought you were running still. Are you stopped running, JC?
Yeah, I have, but
you used to run around his neighborhood every day.
Yeah, it was tough this year, but I
haven't been here that often.
I started in the beginning of the summer, and then I continue it back on in the fall, so I'll be back around there.
Nice.
Yeah, because the colleges are back, and that's why.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks to everybody for being on. Thank you, Josh and JC, for everything you put out there every week. It's been a great time, guys, but we are off. And remember, we're always straight to the point, guys. So thank you and have a great day. Talk to you guys later.